and this is the Community Roundup, which is sponsored by Brad's Furniture and Appliances. And right now I'm joined by Ryan Harvey with the City of Fort St. John. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you for, it is a City of Fort St. John park. But if you couldn't tell from the description there, we're at the Fort St. John Dog Park, and we're going to talk a little bit about dog park etiquette, because let's be honest, sometimes it's a little subpar. So what is the number one rule when it comes to dog park etiquette, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing for people is to make sure that they're listening to their dog. So understand what their dog's doing. If they don't like to be around other dogs, there are 3 separate areas of the dog park. So make sure that if your dog's a little bit nervous about it, if
you have a reactive dog,
yeah, make sure that you're bringing a leash and kind of introducing them to it in a way that's not going to cause them any anxiety or any issues, which will then obviously lead to some behavioral problems between dogs. Obviously, as they get defensive and a little bit scared, there can be some problems. So I think that's kind of the number one, is like just be respectful of where your dog's at, where the other dogs are in the park, and good things happen. Obviously, number 2 is make sure you clean up after your dog.
Yeah, please do that. There's nothing worse than taking your dog to the dog park and then stepping in someone else's lovely mess that they've left behind.
Yes, yeah. So we've managed to clean up a little bit of that instance in the pool, and next is the dog park.
Goodness. Rule number 1: don't take your dog to the pool.
Yes.
Yeah, and especially it's worse when they step in it, because they do not care. So that's rule number 2.
Yeah.
Pun intended. So, it's spring. Obviously, the snow has melted, which is nice. I know that there have been, when it kind of gets to summer, you get, what is it, the fox? They're not foxtails, but...
Yeah, so certainly foxtails.
Oh, it's foxtails, nice.
And there are some other, obviously, weeds that grow up. We do use a product and a contractor that does spray in our parks in accordance with all of the regulations and safety precautions. So we do post notices before it happens, and making sure that the product is safe for kids and for dogs and all of those pieces as well. Obviously, this is a fairly well-used park. We're here in the middle of the day, and there's quite a number of people here using it, and so we know how much the dog park is used and loved, and but I also want to make sure that it's safe and there's no foxtails or anything else that's harmful to dogs, but also the products that we're using to prevent those are also safe. And
perfect. It's a lot of anxiety for me as a dog owner, so thank you for that. Another thing I'm curious about is, do you want to make sure that your dog is vaccinated before you bring them to the dog park?
Yeah, absolutely. So dogs should certainly be vaccinated, and so that's why we encourage new dogs to stay away until they get their shots, making sure that you bring a leash as well to walk the dog from your car to the dog park. Everything else in the park is an on-leash area, but certainly vaccination is important. We did have a case a couple years ago of parvo in a dog that was caught around the area and had been in the area. So parvo is one of those things that can be extremely
that's devastating,
right?
Yeah,
deadly. And so it's one of those things that if we can make sure that we're keeping that out of our dog parks and out of our parks, then that's a good thing.
Absolutely. And like you kind of mentioned, you want to have a leash on your dog as you're walking to the park, just because it is a parking lot. There are cars and people, and there's a skate park over there that, I don't want to be trying to do a sick jump and there being a dog there suddenly.
For sure, yeah. It's really just the rest of the city is on leash, and so your dog is required to be on leash outside of the off leash park. It's obviously 9 acres of a parcel, so it's a pretty good space. So once you get in there, you're able to run free, and we see lots of dogs chasing after balls and stuff, which is kind of the enjoyment of it, right? But yeah, certainly a leash at other times is great, and it's nice to see most people here today have leashes and have been walking their dogs out with a leash, and so it's really good to see, just being respectful of everybody else that's using the park and using the off-leash area as well.
Absolutely. What is the best way to stay up to date on updates when it comes to the dog park and other parks in Fort St. John?
Yeah, so all of our stuff's on our website, fortstjohn.ca, as well as on our Facebook page. So the city page or the recreation page will have any updates, any closures. Obviously, sometimes we do require to close an area to make sure that the grass is okay or there's something else going on. And sometimes there's holes in fences that need to be replaced. And so,
as is the case with dogs and fences.
Which is another good plug. Obviously, with the snow melting right now, if you have a dog at home, take a look at your fence. Make sure that they can't escape, because there's nothing worse than coming home after letting your dog out for a bit and realizing they're not there.
Oh, my dog isn't there anymore. My dog did that actually once. He ended up actually taking himself to the dog park. So he was there when...
it happens.
It does. That's why you should always have a dog tag with your phone number on it. Also a dog license,
yeah,
which we should talk a little bit about, I suppose.
Yeah, dog licenses are obviously required in the city of Fort St. John, and more so for two reasons. Not, the bylaw aspect of it, but
the
two things.
bureaucratic aspect.
One, it's a really great way, if we do find your dog out and about, that we can get them back to you. And two, it allows us to have stats on the number of dogs in the community.
Right.
So things like the dog park are then actually justified because we do have such a high population of dog owners and dogs in the community.
Perfect. Those numbers help. For sure.
They do.
Excellent. Anything else you want to add before I let you go today, Ryan?
No, just if you haven't gotten your dog license yet, you can do so at City Hall.
I think it's like $15.
Yeah, it depends a little bit on whether
when.
they're spayed or neutered or age and all of those sorts of things. But yeah, so.
Awesome. If you want to learn, you can actually do that from the app too, I believe.
You can do that from the app as well. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, this has been the Community Roundup, which is sponsored by Brad's Furniture and Appliances. Thank you so much for chatting with me a little bit about etiquette. Now I know to keep Ted on a leash, so that's good.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to add before I let you go?
Nope. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for watching.